In South Africa, the biggest winner in the recently concluded elections is former President Jacob Zuma, whose newly formed uMkhonto weSizwe (MK) party has exceeded expectations and emerged as a major factor in the ruling party's African National Congress sharp drop in support. The uMkhonto weSizwe party used Jacob Zuma's popularity and exploited the ANC's government's failures to arrest long-standing load shedding and water crises, as well as perceived abandonment of the Zulu traditional leadership to ascend to the highest office in Zuma's home province of KwaZulu-Natal. In this episode of African Biographics, we cover the story of the rise and rise of Jacob Zuma's uMkhonto weSizwe party. The rise of the MK party is intertwined with the story of Jacob Zuma, the former leader of South Africa. Jacob Zuma has been a prominent figure in South African politics and was elected President of South Africa in 2009. Born in 1942 in Nkandla, KwaZulu-Natal, Zuma's political journey was deeply linked with the African National Congress and the anti-apartheid struggle. Zuma's presidency marked a period of significant political and economic developments, but it was also fraught with controversies and legal battles, including what South Africans call state capture, after an inquiry pointed to systemic corruption enabling business people to plunder state resources. All of this eventually led to Jacob Zuma's resignation in 2018. Jacob Zuma's resignation paved the way for his then deputy Cyril Ramaphosa to assume the presidency. Ramaphosa, seen as a reformist, pledged to tackle corruption and restore integrity to South Africa's institutions. However, Zuma's influence within the ANC remained significant. The battle between Zuma and Ramaphosa highlighted the deep divisions within the ruling ANC. Zuma supporters accused Ramaphosa of targeting him for political gain, while Ramaphosa's camp viewed Zuma as an impediment to much-needed reforms. This internal conflict culminated in Jacob Zuma's imprisonment in July 2021 for contempt of court after he defied an order to appear before a commission investigating state capture. Jacob Zuma's arrest sparked violent protests and looting, further destabilizing South Africa. Following his arrest and subsequent imprisonment, Zuma was released on medical parole in September 2021 due to health concerns, a decision that sparked further controversy and legal challenges. Despite his release, Zuma continued to face various legal battles, including charges of corruption, fraud, and money laundering related to a 1999 arms deal. It is in this context that Jacob Zuma's uMkhonto weSizwe party was formed. This party is commonly referred to as the MK party, and it takes its name from the uMkhonto weSizwe, meaning Spear of the Nation, which was the apartheid-era military wing of South Africa's African National Congress, the ANC. Zuma's MK party capitalized on populist sentiment and dissatisfaction with the ANC leadership, aiming to reinvigorate Zuma's political influence despite his legal challenges. The MK party quietly entered into the political fray in the summer of 2023 and was officially registered with South Africa's Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, on September 7, 2023 by Jabulani Khumalo, the party's founder. In mid-December of the same year, the party's popularity skyrocketed when Jacob Zuma declared that he would support the party in the upcoming 2024 elections. The newly formed party claimed to have gained 1 million new members in the first 2 days following the launch, and Zuma's support for the new party raised eyebrows as he was still a member of the ANC. The ANC also took issue with the party's use of the MK logo and name and sent a cease and desist letter to Jabulani Khumalo that month. Meanwhile, the MK party's manifesto identified what the party thought were South Africa's most significant challenges, which included inadequate access to healthcare and quality education, economic inequality, and national security threats. The manifesto of the MK party also cited the need for robust traditional leadership and foreign policies and committed to enacting transformative change. The party also vowed to expropriate all land without compensation and transfer it to the state or custodianship of aristocratic traditional rulers for use by black farmers. Early on in the MK's journey, one poll that had been released by the Social Research Foundation revealed that the ANC could lose close to half of its support in Zuma's KwaZulu-Natal to the MK party. This particular poll also found that ANC support in the province had plummeted to about 25%, down from 54% in the 2019 general elections. Conversely, the MK party was polling at 24% at the time, and this was a clear sign that it was eating into the ANC's support. Meanwhile, Jacob Zuma continued with a string of public mobilizing events and mini rallies in both his home of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng province. Since the turn of the year 2024, Zuma had been going door to door using his charm offensive on Zulu chiefs, promising to elevate their status and asking them for endorsement among their subjects. Key features of MK party rallies were the singing of old struggle songs as well as songs disparaging the ANC and its leader Cyril Ramaphosa. The MK party's message also appeared to resonate with some South Africans as it performed well in a few by-elections that were held in February 2024 in KwaZulu-Natal and in the neighboring province of Mpumalanga, capturing a portion of the vote from established parties like the ruling ANC, the Economic Freedom Fighters (EFF) and the Inkatha Freedom Party, the IFP. Jacob Zuma, meanwhile, appeared to be poised to play a larger role with the MK party beyond simply supporting it. On April 16, 2024, the IEC confirmed that the MK party had listed Zuma instead of Jabulani Khumalo as its leader. 10 days later, the party's leadership core expelled Jabulani Khumalo and 4 others from the party, calling them rogue elements and stating that the expulsions occurred as the party continues to cleanse itself. During this whole time, the MK party was facing legal challenges, mostly from the ANC, which questioned the legitimacy of the party's registration with the IEC over a procedural matter. In the same month, the ANC also sought a court order from the High Court in Durban to stop the MK party's use of the MK name and logo, but on April 22, the court dismissed the case, which allowed the MK party to continue its use. At the same time, the party also faced legal fights about the validity of Jacob Zuma's candidacy. On March 28, the IEC confirmed that an objection to Zuma's candidacy had been raised over his 15-month jail sentence, which had been handed down in June 2021 for contempt of court during the state capture hearing. The South African Constitution states that any person convicted of an offense and sentenced to more than 12 months imprisonment without the option of a fine was not eligible to serve in the National Assembly until 5 years after the sentence had been completed. Therefore, Jacob Zuma was barred from standing in the upcoming election on May 29. While the MK party was disappointed with the ruling, it affirmed that Jacob Zuma was still the party's leader and that the party would continue to campaign. South Africa headed to the polls on Wednesday, 29 May 2024, in elections that were crucial for determining the future of the country's political landscape. The African National Congress, South Africa's long-ruling party, was built to face one of its toughest electoral battles yet. As results from these elections started trickling out, one of the biggest surprises was the performance of Jacob Zuma's MK party. In a viral interview which he had conducted just before the election, Jacob Zuma had said that he had gone underground to campaign and would shock people at the election. True to form, his party stunned the ANC and surprised many across South Africa. In these elections, voters slashed support for the ANC to 40%, down from about 57% in the 2019 parliamentary vote. That means it must now share power, likely with a major political rival, in order to keep it, an unprecedented prospect since the end of white minority rule in 1994. While a potential coalition between the ANC and Jacob Zuma's MK is possible, several political analysts deem this unlikely due to MK's probable demands, such as replacing President Cyril Ramaphosa and absolving Jacob Zuma's legal issues. Jacob Zuma is due to stand trial next year for corruption charges related to a 1990s arms deal.